Hello.
Hello, how you doing, guys?
Good. How you doing, Kurt?
Good, good.
Hell yeah. Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you. You too.
How's it going? You in your car right now? Taking care of
Yep,
the house?
I'm doing a lot of stuff at one time.
All right. Well, it's great to meet you. Listen, I'm going to say up top, so I don't want to weird you out, but you are my favorite all-time wrestler, and I think
Thank
you're
you.
honest. I think you're the greatest of all time. So they
I
gave me the up.
appreciate that.
Yes, I mean, I truly mean it. And they gave me the opportunity to interview, so this is a big deal for me. So I appreciate you coming on, man.
Mm, Happy to do it. Thank you.
How how's the media blitz going? I see you're all over town.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. I do a couple a day. I'm just trying to raise the funds for USA Wrestling and promote my movie. So we're doing a lot of that.
Right on. Tell me more about your movie and everything about that.
We are in the beginning stages of it, but we got the script almost finished. We're getting investors right now. Um, we're gonna pick the cast in the next 2 months. So this is gonna be a great movie about my Olympic story. And
Yeah.
that's the cool thing about it is we're gonna do two movies actually. There was just too much content to do my whole life.
Yeah.
So these directors, Ian and Eshram Nelms, who are really talented directors, um, they did directed movies like Fat Man starring Mel Gibson and Red Right Hand starring Orlando Bloom,
Mhm.
many other great films. They decided that they wanted to break it into two, and so the first one would be up until the Olympics when I won the Olympic gold medal. The second one would be about my WWE and pro wrestling career.
Mhm.
So I'm excited about the Olympic movie. I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to have a Rocky type of feel to it with a touch of the fighter and Iron Claw. I mean, there's some tragedy in there. Not as bad as Iron Claw. Iron Claw was an incredible movie, but very depressing.
Oh yeah, that was tough.
Yeah,
That was tough.
everybody was dying of something. I mean, it was
I
great.
they had I found there's a whole brother that they cut out because they thought it would get repetitive. I'm like, that's
It
rough.
was
That is
still
rough.
depressing. Yeah, and they cut him out. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, you've
great
lived.
movie though.
It was fantastic. Everyone killed it, and I will be there opening night for both your movies. I'm very excited. Do you have any ideas who you want to play yet? I don't think there's anyone in Hollywood that has your
You know what? Right now, what I'm thinking, he's a Canadian actor. He's upcoming, really getting popular right now. He's got a lot of steam. His name's Gabe LaBelle.
Mhm.
He did the movie Saturday Night, the movie about the Saturday Night
Mhm.
live talent. Yeah. So he's done some really great movies, and he's really coming into his own. And I think what we really need is big time actors in this movie. And we also got we're looking at we're pitching to Michael Keaton to play John
Oh,
DuPont.
oh wow.
Would be interesting. Uh, but we got a lot of people in mind that we have, and hopefully hopefully it'll turn out really good.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, Michael Keaton's great, and you spoke of John DuPont. How did you feel about like the Fox Catcher movie when that came out? Did you feel like that was accurate, well made, or
Yeah, it was very accurate. What I didn't like about it is they had some kind of insinuation that John DuPont and Mark Schultz were like gay.
yeah, yeah,
That no, it's not even close.
no,
Mark was really pissed off about that actually.
yeah,
But I have a lot of respect for Mark and Dave. They're both my idols. I grew up loving both of them,
mhm.
and so I keep in touch with Mark ever since Dave passed away, and we have a great relationship.
That's fantastic. So yeah, so this is going to be covering your Olympic trial. I was just watching your documentary Angle. It was very, very powerful.
Thank
Also
you.
sad right off the top.
Yeah,
Yeah, me,
I
you me
know.
crying at 10 a.m. But yeah, so you won the gold medal, obviously, with the broken neck, and then you transitioned into wrestling. What kind of skill? What was your mindset when you knew your neck was broken? You're still going out there. You're the best. Like, how do you push through that? Like, I stubbed my toe and I can barely leave the house. You have a broken neck and you won a gold medal. What's
You
your
know,
mindset?
it came up. It came down to straight up bravery. I was willing to sacrifice my body and possibly my life to wrestle. I I I was told by doctors that I couldn't wrestle, and that if I landed on my head again, I would be paralyzed or even dead. And But I found a doctor that was able to help me get through the Olympic trials and the Olympic Games. And what he did is he came up with this idea of shooting 12 different shots of Novocaine into my neck 5 minutes before each one of my matches.
Oh wow.
Now, he said you're not going to feel any pain, so you're going to forget your neck is broken. You'll be fine. But an hour after your matches are over, you're going to be in excruciating pain because the Novocaine's going to wear off and you're going to be hurting pretty badly. So if you can deal with that, and I said, yes, let's do it. And it worked. It worked for me. I won the Olympic trials, and we did the same thing at the Olympics, and I won the Olympic Games.
That's
So I came out on top, and I can not thank anybody but the Lord Himself for it.
yeah. I mean, that is what did the Novocaine didn't hinder your mobility at all while you're at? I mean, clearly not, but
No, no. You know what? I couldn't feel anything.
yeah, yeah.
You know what? It was crazy because I guess word got around. I tried to file an extension at the trials
Mhm.
to delay my match, my finals match to make it to the Olympic team. I called USA Wrestling because they've done it in the past. Wrestlers that were injured were able to get a month or two advance where they didn't have to try out for a couple months. They could extend their time to heal, and they turned me down. And I was like, wow, okay, I guess they don't like to do that anymore. So word got around that I had a broken neck,
Mhm.
and now my opponents found out. So they're going after my neck at the trial. And what's crazy is it kind of backfired on them because every time they reached for my neck, I shot in on the
Yeah,
leg and took him down.
yeah.
So this guy was Dan Shade, great wrestler. I wrestled him in the finals of the Olympic trials. Great athlete. He was going after my neck. He was trying to hurt my neck. He was cranking it, doing hitting me in the back of the head, and we ended up getting a little bit of a fist fight. The referee said, "Hey, all right, stop right now. If any of you continue this, we're going to take the number 3 guy." In other words, we were number 1 and 2 for the Olympic team. If we don't stop fighting, they're going to just disqualify both of us and take the number 3 guy. And I was like, wow, he's really worried about my neck, and I can't feel my neck.
Mhm.
So I thought, you know what? I'll use it to my advantage. I'll take him down every time he reaches for my neck, and it worked. I beat him soundly, 7-0 my first match and 3-0 my second match.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Best in the biz, man. That's great. Did you is that is that considered sportsmanlike? If you're in a wrestling match, you go for whatever is available, right? The neck isn't off limits if it's hurt. It's the
No, no,
yeah.
yeah, hey, yeah, wrestling, it's very competitive. If someone's
Mhm.
hurt, hey, they're injured, it's their fault for wrestling. So it's not like, hey, don't, he's hurt. I'm not gonna worry. I'm not gonna go after his neck. It's
Mhm.
the opposite.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
hurt. I am gonna go after his neck. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. And
And especially making the Olympic team.
I mean, yeah. Bring a
Yeah,
knife and you're saying
I would do it. I would do it.
sure, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you said like pretty much giving up your life and body, which is pretty much what you've done. I mean, I watched your professional wrestling career from the start. I remember your debut, and it reminds me like before WrestleMania, it was 19, right, when your neck was broken with Brock Lesnar,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it seems like a similar situation where you were really hurt, but they needed you, and it seemed like there were other plans going on. So it was another time you just put your body out there with really no.
Well, what happened was I was supposed to lose the Brock the week before
Mhm.
because I broke my neck. So Vince McMahon was like, how do I take the title off of Kurt? I'll put him in a 5-second match against Brock, have Brock hit his finish and beat Kurt, and then we'll have Brock main event against somebody else at WrestleMania. So during that week, right before I was gonna drop the title to Brock. It was gonna be the week before WrestleMania on SmackDown. Um, my neighbor came to me. He's a special needs kid, and he came up to me and he had a magazine, and it was like a cable magazine, cable TV magazine. And I was on the cover with Brock Lesnar. He's like, Kurt, I wish you would still be able to wrestle. And he was crying. And I was like, wow, you know what? I can do it. I actually, and now they won't do this today. Doctors won't
Yeah.
clear you to wrestle today. Back then in, early 2000s, it was a little easier to get cleared, whether you had broken bones or whatever it is, an injury. So now there'd be so many liabilities.
Yeah.
But I found a doctor that would allow me to wrestle. And uh, so when I found that out, I called Vince and said, "Listen, if I'm going to drop the title, let me just drop it at WrestleMania. I mean, when the match is already set up, the heat, the build up's already there. Let's just go forward." And he's like, "Are you sure? Because you're going to have to go, 30 minutes." I said, "Yeah, I could do it." And so I went out there and I wrestled 30 minutes and I dropped the title to Brock, and that was it. I ended up having my surgery the next day.
Yeah, I mean, you still look great. I mean, I think this was right around the time when, internet culture was so like the news is out there that you were hurt and but you didn't look so we were like looking for you to but no signs of being hurt. Just it's
at
incredible
least,
stuff.
at least you couldn't see anything, right?
You couldn't see it. Brock almost broke his neck.
Crazy. I had a hard time lifting my left arm.
Really?
Damage in my neck. Yeah. So
Wow.
I was wrestling with one arm basically.
Oh my God.
It was really frustrating.
You're still better than most two arm guys because tell you all about it. Yeah, that's you. Didn't you have so the surgery you had? Tell me if I'm wrong. It was kind of experimental. Didn't they went in through the front of the neck?
Yes.
Because it would be a shorter healing time.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter. 6 weeks. What they do is they go in. What happens is your disc when you break your neck, for the most part, your disc will slide a little bit. Slide to the side, and you have nerves that run down your neck, down to your arms. And when those discs slide to the side, they block the nerves. Then you don't have use of your arms. You don't have any feeling in your arms, so it affects everything. And having that, what was I going to say here? um, Having that was really tough. I had to, gosh, I can't remember what I was going to say. What was the question again?
I asked about I asked about your neck surgery, them going through the thing. You said that the disc slide cut off your nerve.
The doctor, he did a lapendectomy. And that's when you go in the front. And what they do is the disc that slid to the side, they cut out that part that's blocking the nerve. And they keep the rest of it inside the neck, so it's intact. Now, eventually down the road, when you have less of a disc in between each vertebrae, they're going to end up fusing together naturally anyway. And that's what happened to my neck this past couple of years. My neck, I don't have any more discs. It's all vertebrae. It's bone. And I'm in excruciating pain all the time. And there's nothing they can do for me. There's nothing. I was going to try to get rubber disc replacements, but since my neck naturally fused together, I don't have any discs to replace. So I'm kind of in a crappy position right now. Yeah. But I mean, I learned how to deal with it, and I do a lot of maintenance on it to try to keep it as mobile as I can. And I lost about 3 inches in both arms from atrophy because of my neck, and I lost a big muscle right in my chest. I have a big line right here, and it's ridiculous, man. Yeah. Your neck controls everything in your body, and I'm suffering dearly, and I'm paying the price for the career I had.
Sure. I mean, you put yourself out there more than anyone else. You've been wrestling with a broken neck for what, 30 years now? That's insane.
Yeah. And you know what? My problem is I didn't hold back. I did. And that got me in trouble.
Well, you didn't. That's something because I think it's widely regarded that I don't think I've ever seen any other wrestler that immediately seemed to like grasp it. There's been a lot of athletes that came up from other sports, but you seem to like I hear Bruce Pritchard talk about how you like attacked the mat immediately with his brother Tom training. And like you just seemed, but you also had the charisma. Like how did you know that was there? Did you know the whole package was there? Was it all hard work?
No. I didn't know anything. I when I first started, honestly, I had to forget everything I ever learned because amateur wrestling and pro wrestling are worlds apart. Like I'll give you an example. In amateur wrestling, you're taught to go for the kill, take their opponent down, pin them as quickly as possible, get it over with. In pro wrestling, you have to take your time, tell a story. Good guy versus bad guy. Good guy out wrestles the bad guy. The bad guy gets the heat on the good guy. The good guy makes a comeback. The bad guy either cheats and wins, or the good guy overcomes the cheating and wins. And not only that, but in wrestling, you're taught to go for the kill. In wrestling, you're taught to show no emotion, is what I meant. So you're out there, you're like a robot. You don't show any emotion to your opponent or to the crowd until the match is over. Then you can be excited about winning or sad about losing. But in pro wrestling, you have to show every emotion to the fans, to your opponent, because that's what the fans get invested in. That's what gets them into the matches is your emotion. So I decided to forget everything I ever learned and go from the beginning and just learn as a pro wrestler. So I took all my offense out because I didn't want people to think I was overly aggressive and I was going to take advantage of them. So I let them beat me up for about 6 months.
Sure.
That's what I did at first. And I learned how to bump properly. And then I learned how to sell really well. And before I knew it, Vince McMahon had me debut with only 7 months of training.
Yeah, that's
I
wild.
didn't have NXT or OVW back then.
Yeah.
So I didn't have much training at all.
Where were you training? Memphis?
For 4 months. And I did one promo, and I never worked on promos. So my first night on the air, Vince McMahon says, "You're going to do a promo and you're going to wrestle." I was like, "Vince, I don't cut promos. I don't know how to do it." He says, "Well, listen, I'm giving you an opportunity. You either sink or swim." That's what he told me. So he goes, "This is hilarious." He goes, "Listen, I'm going to tell you what the promo is." I said, "You're not going to write it down?" He said, "No, I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to tell you once, and you go out there and you do it." So he starts talking. And as he's going on 2, 3, 4 minutes, I'm going, "Holy shit, this is a long promo." So I'm not listening anymore. So Vince gets done. He says, "Now, I want you to go out there and do that." And I said, "Vince, I'm sorry, but I didn't hear a word you said. I need you to repeat that again." So he repeated it again, and I went out there and got about 80% of it right. And he said, "You know what? I can work with this kid. This kid has ability." So every week he kept giving me longer and longer promos. So I was learning on the job. And even with my wrestling, I didn't know how to structure matches when I started. I could structure a 6-minute match, but not 20, 30 minutes. And also, I didn't know much of psychology, which is good guy versus bad guy, that kind of psychology. So I had to learn that on the job, too. So my opponents had to lead me through matches. And I was being led through for about a whole year. Even when I beat The Rock for the world title, he was leading me through the match. And after a year, I was such a good follower that I became a good leader.
Yeah.
I started leading matches. And within 2 years of the business, I was considered the best in the business. That's how quick it happened.
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind how quickly I picked up on it. I don't know how or why, but it just happened.
It just happened, yeah. Because I just see like Gable Steveson signed, but it seemed like it didn't work out for him. I don't know of your relationship with him, but
yeah, good kid. Yeah, I talked to him a couple times. He's an incredible athlete. I mean, the kid really is. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he decided he wanted to quit or WWE wanted to release him. I don't know if he had a bad attitude. I don't know. I don't know because I don't know him that well. But I know that he's an incredible athlete, and whatever he does from here on in, he'll be successful. I know he's been training MMA. He tried out for the Bills. He was finally cut.
I know, it's wild.
Could have made the team, but that's how good of an athlete he is.
Yeah.
And but I hear now he wants to go back to college to wrestle.
Is that
he has 1 more year?
Is that allowed? Oh, he's gonna fight kids.
I mean, he's an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, that's wild.
But you know what? I think it's because of the NIL.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what other reason, to be honest with you.
It doesn't make
Unless he just wants to win another NCAA title, but I mean, he's an Olympic gold medalist. The worlds apart. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about the NIL system? Because you went to you went to college in Pittsburgh?
I went outside of Pittsburgh, an hour and a half outside. I went to their homes for my family to attend my wrestling events. I wouldn't have got much money. I went to a Division II school.
Okay, right on.
But I'm happy that they're doing it. I think that these athletes deserve it. I mean, when colleges and NCAA is making money on athletes and they're not getting any of it, that's kind of bullcrap,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it was right. I think it was right for them to do that.
Yeah, I think so too. And so you were talking about, you've talked about all the pain that you're going through. You're in constant pain now, which is because you've talked openly about your addictions, and the fact that you're still staying strong, not going with that you're in constant pain now, is really incredible. It's truly a testament to your will. But the first time you left WWE, you went to TNA, that was a lot because of your personal issues, right? And what do you think? What was going through your mind that they were telling you had to get help or go? And how do you think that would have been handled today differently?
Well, today they have a drug and wellness policy. I mean, they're really strict on the athletes now, and they don't overwork them anymore. Back in 2004, 5, 6, they were working us like crazy. I mean, we were on the road 300 days a year. Even if we were hurt, we were working. We were working around our injuries. I had a painkiller problem, and I was trying to make, I was trying to wean off of them while I was still performing every night.
Yeah.
It was just really difficult. And it got so hard on me that I just decided I wanted to quit. I remember the last time I got injured really badly. I blew out my hamstring and my groin muscle and my abdominal muscle. And I had black and blue all over my groin section and down both of my legs, all the way to my feet. That's how much blood went down there. So the next day, I was at a house show. That's where I did it. I got injured. I was wrestling Rob Van Dam. Next day, I went to TV, Raw, and I went to the writers' meeting. I pulled my pants down to my ankles. There are women behind me with my ass showing, and I wanted to show Vince what was going on. Like, you're killing me, man. So,
what was his reaction?
He was like, he said, set up an appointment. I'll meet you at my office at Stanford tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, call my secretary and we'll get you a flight there and whatever. So I went there, and that's when I decided to quit. I went to Vince, and what's crazy is I don't even remember doing this stuff.
Really?
Well, what I'm about to tell you, I didn't remember doing this. I was texting Vince late at night all the time.
What?
He wouldn't answer my phone. He was probably sleeping, but he wouldn't answer my phone. And I was injured, and I was on painkillers, and I was just suffering. Mm-hmm. So I was calling him all the time, and he wasn't answering. I'd leave him messages. That was going to beat the shit out of him.
Oh boy!
So I'm in the meeting, and he has all these typed messages for me. I'm reading them. I'm like, Vince, I want to beat the shit out of you. Wait till I see you, Vince. I'm going to knock your head off. Like, so now he's like, oh, you want to fight me? He gets up and takes his jacket off.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh, my God.
What?
McMahon wants to beat me up. So Shane McMahon is next to me, and he's in a chair, and he's halfway out of his seat just in case I jump on Vince.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, this is a tough situation.
Yeah. So
I left the room, and I gained my composure and came back in and said, Vince, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to kill myself. And I didn't mean I was going to commit suicide.
Yeah.
I meant that I was going to overdose.
Mm-hmm.
And I need help. And he said, you know what? Take 6 months off. Go ahead. You're released. I'll have the same contract for you in 6 months. Mm-hmm. So, I thanked him for that. That was really cool that he did that. And I ended up going to TNA.
Yeah.
That's when I made the jump.
Which was great. And it's just, this is why you never get your boss's number, folks. I don't get, because I would call him in the middle of the night, no matter what, and threaten him.
That was so wrong of me. It really was.
It happens. Yeah, they were pushing you too hard. And you, as you said, you jumped to TNA, which is, you spent more time in TNA than you did WWE, right? And it was like, you had so many great matches there. How do you feel about your TNA career versus your WWE career? And do you, I'd love to see that on the network or something.
Yeah,
you had so many great matches that were.
I had a better career in TNA.
Yeah, it was. Which is insane to say.
Yeah, I wish that they could kind of combine it. Maybe somewhere down the line, maybe WWE purchases TNA. And they'll have the whole library of all the wrestling.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I just know that my career was better.
It was incredible, and I just saw that clip, just that one, the senton you did on the Joe off the stage. It's like, this man does not care about his body at all. He doesn't even look to see if a guy's there.
That's why I'm suffering today.
Yeah, truly. It's wild. And is there a match that you remember being like the one that's your favorite, or it's just something, or even a match that you're not in that really inspired you? Those are two questions.
Match that I was in would be Chris Benoit, Royal Rumble 2000.
That was an incredible match.
We had a great submission match. It was really good. Actually, it was so good that the fans gave Chris a standing ovation. He lost. Mm-hmm. And when I left and went up the ramp, the fans gave him a 15-minute standing ovation. And Vince let it happen for 15 minutes during a pay-per-view.
That's wild.
It's like losing money, but
Yeah.
he felt that Chris deserved that, and that we deserved that. And that is my favorite match that I wrestled. A close second is Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 21, and I would say TNA, anything with AJ Styles or Samoa Joe. I had some great ones with those guys. But a match that I didn't wrestle in, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, 1 hour Iron Man match.
Yes.
There wasn't one pinfall or submission in that whole hour, and it was exciting as hell. That is when you know you've mastered the sport.
Yes, I think you and Shawn Michaels. When I was in college, I was trying to start a wrestling club, and I brought a little TV to the club fair, and I showed you and Shawn Michaels. I showed you and Shawn Michaels wrestling. A bunch of people signed up, and then I didn't. I was like, I don't really know what we're gonna do with the wrestling club. I just want everyone to see this awesome match.
Oh, that's great.
I love it, man. Yeah, let me. I don't want to hold you too long. So when you came into wrestling, you had the whole Olympic thing pretty much already set for you. It fits you. What if you didn't have that? Like, is there a gimmick? You look at like the Undertaker or someone else. They're like, I wish I could be a little more cartoonish.
Honestly, if it wasn't for the WWE seeking me, I wouldn't have known that they were interested. So the gold medal is relevant. If I wouldn't have won the gold medal, they would have never gotten a hold of me.
Yeah,
and understandably so, because I wasn't even a fan of it. As an amateur wrestler, I was always told, "Don't watch that crap. You're the real deal. They're fake." And so when Vince offered me a contract in 1996 after the Olympics, he gave me a multi-million-dollar deal, and I turned it down.
Wow.
And my agent actually told me to turn it down because he was a former amateur wrestler. So when I turned it down, I ended up getting a job as a sportscaster for a year. Didn't like that very much. So when I got done with that, I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And I started watching Raw, and I fell in love with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes.
Great character. And I loved the way he was kicking butt and taking names. And I decided to contact the WWE to see if they were still interested. And I asked if that contract still stood, and they said no, but you can come up and try out. So I figured nothing in my life's ever come easily. This won't either. I'll go up and work for it.
Yeah.
So I went up and tried out, and I picked up on everything so quickly the first day. They gave me a contract, but the contract wasn't very good. It was, I think, $75,000 a year, and that's starting out. But when you're traveling around and the WWE only pays for your flights, you have to pay for rental car, gas, hotel, food, tolls. That 75 grand doesn't go very far. So I had to bunk with people. I had to stay in the same hotel room and share rental cars, and I struggled for a little bit. But once I got on TV, my first year, thank God, I made about $1 million. And that was like, okay, I made it. I'm here. So it's only going to get better, and it did.
How did it bump up from 75 to $1 million? Was that just a contract raise or based on merchandise, a bunch of different?
Yeah, like my guarantee was 75.
Okay.
But I was wrestling so much and wrestling in the main events, I was getting paid more. So if you're like an opening card match on a pay-per-view, you're going to get 10 grand. If you're the main event, you're going to get 70 to 150,000. That's excluding WrestleMania, because you can make a lot more in WrestleMania. But the money difference is substantial. So if you're wrestling main events all the time, which I did my rookie year, I was making the great money.
Yeah.
So and after that year, I went to Vince and said, "Listen, I don't want this guarantee anymore, because if I get injured, I'm only going to make 75 grand." So I went to Vince and said, "We need to renew our contract." And he's like, "How much you want?" I said, "How much I made this year. I want that guaranteed every year." He said, "Okay, we could do that." So he gave me $1 million guarantee, which back then was the highest guarantee you could get. Stone Cold had it, The Rock had it, Undertaker had it, Triple H had it. There were a handful of people that had it. Now you could get more now. Like, guys are signing for bigger deals. So the industry just got so out of control that these wrestlers actually they have a voice. They didn't have that back then. It was this is what you get, and that's you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And, so it's a lot different. It was run like a mom and pop business back then. Now it's a huge corporation.
Yeah, sure. It's hard because I do stand-up comedy, and I feel like it's kind of similar where it's people want to, people have tried to unionize or get advocate, but then there'll always be someone else who will do it for less. They're like, there's no loyalty. Someone will scoot in immediately, so you can't do anything.
Yeah, you can't win, man. That's true.
Yeah. Let me. I don't want to. What time do you have to go? Sorry, I know it's half an hour.
I have a few more minutes.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you. You talked about Vince, and I don't know what your relationship is with. See, as doing comedy as well, I know I've had a lot of friends, get canceled and not, you don't really know what to do publicly or like how to do it personally. And in wrestling, I feel like it's happening there too. How do you kind of navigate those relationships with people while, still, respecting the victims of things that happened? It's a difficult road. I'm trying to figure this out myself.
Well, I'm not sure what you're saying. I don't talk to Vince anymore.
You don't talk to Vince? Sure.
No. We actually lost touch when a couple years ago when all this stuff started coming up.
Sure.
So you know what? I love Vince. I've never seen him do anything that he's accused of. And I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm just saying I never saw it. And I was around him quite a bit. So I don't have a lot to say about him, but the only thing I could say is he gave me an opportunity and I took it, and I'm very grateful for that.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that's great. One last question. So you talked about your buddies you made in wrestling, bunking and stuff. Are there people you still keep in touch with today? Like, who are your best friends? Do you have any like really funny memories of these stories by him?
I have my team Angle, Charlie Haas and John Benjamin.
One of the greatest.
Talked to quite a bit. I keep in touch here and there with Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Brock Lesnar. I can't think of James Storm.
Wow.
But I don't really keep in touch with a lot of people. I'll tell you this: when you're doing it, when you're in the business, your family is on the road with you because you're on the road more than you're at home. But once you're done with wrestling and you retire, you never contact those people anymore. It's really
sad.
It's really sad because they're your closest friends. They're like your family. And then when you quit, it's done. No more.
I mean, I think it's, it's hard to go from seeing people every day to like, because you don't even remember they're around and it becomes part of your life. So then it's so hard.
I went through a bit of a depression when I retired. And not just because I got done wrestling, but because I lost those relationships.
Sure.
And it didn't help any that I had to retire. But on top of that, I'm not keeping in touch with the friends that I trusted most.
Sure.
And it's that's just the way the business is. And Pat Patterson told me that. He said, Kurt, when you're done with wrestling, I guarantee it, you're not going to keep in touch with anybody. And I said, no, you're full of crap, Pat. I said, I'm going to keep in touch with everybody. He said, no, you won't. I remember what I said. And I do remember what he said. And he's right.
That's tough, man. Have you thought about going back to work in like a backstage role? I know you work as an ambassador, but maybe just I don't know, to get.
They offered me a managerial job, but the money wasn't good.
Yeah, sure.
But would I do anything with them? It depends on what it is. I might do a managerial job. I don't think I would do anything backstage.
Sure.
I used to. I was a producer for a year, and then when COVID hit, I got released.
Yeah, I remember.
And the reason is because I was the last one hired.
Sure.
And they were giving me more money than everybody else for that job. So I knew that the first person they were going to cut was going to be me. Yeah. And I didn't blame them for that. I totally understood. But I enjoyed working behind the scenes, but it wasn't a passion of mine. I didn't love it like I did wrestling. So it didn't matter to me. Once they let me go, I was fine. I was like, you know what? It's probably better that I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I was going through depression back then, and having to watch these wrestlers wrestle and me sitting backstage, like I want to be out there still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it feel like
it's a little tough?
Was it like they wouldn't let you wrestle you wanted to, or you felt physically like you couldn't be up to the level that you wanted to be?
I retired myself.
You retired yourself
because when I came back to WWE, I wanted to wrestle. I was doing really well with the wrestling. Just got with TNA. I did a couple independent shows, keep my body in shape. I came back, and the WWE wanted to induct me in the Hall of Fame, and I was like, okay, but I'm not retiring. They're like, we know, but we want you to induct you in the Hall of Fame first. So they induct me in the Hall of Fame. Next day, they're like, hey, we want you to be general manager. I was like, I want to wrestle. You're like, oh, we'll get to that. So I become general manager for about 9 or 10 months. And during that time, I became inactive. I didn't get in the ring at all.
Sure.
So when I finally got back into the ring, I lost the step. I looked old. I looked washed up. I wasn't moving the way I used to. It's like arthritis kicked in and just took over my body.
Sure.
I didn't like what I saw. I would watch films of myself and I was like, I can't do this. I don't want the fans to remember me like this. So I went to Vince and I asked Vince, I said, hey, I'd like to retire at WrestleMania. And I thought he was going to give me a really big retirement match, and, put me with John Cena or somebody like that. And instead, he gave me Baron Corbin, who I love. He's a great wrestler, but Baron was just starting out. And he said the reason why is because I was doing a program with him, and he didn't want to cancel the program and just bring John in. So he said, if you wrestle another year, I'll give you John Cena the following year. I said, I can't wait that long.
Sure.
I retired with Baron, which I was fine with. Baron's a great wrestler, great guy. I absolutely love the guy and I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, I think he's great too. And we all did want to see like a big send off with one of your classic rivals, and they've got to,
you know what?
Yeah,
that's what happens when you leave the company. In 2006, I left them high and dry.
So that's
so it's like never forget.
Vince always gets his revenge, huh?
Yeah. So they got their revenge on me, and I totally understood. I was one of the problems for me. If anything, they lost money.
Yeah,
you lied to me.
I mean, I would with all the stem cells and all the stuff people are getting done now. Do you think would you come back for one more, and who would you think it would be against?
Nope, I would not. Right. I just did a commercial with Kyle Brandt from CBS.
Oh, yeah, sure.
We did like a pro wrestling match, like pretending I was the Steelers and he was the Ravens. And man, when I bumped,
it was tough.
I was like, holy shit, man. I can never get used to this again.
No.
I only bumped like 4 or 5 times. Whoa, I don't know if I could do this anymore.
I mean, I can't. I'm watching Stone Cold after all that time. Take that.
I couldn't
on the concrete. That is wild. That was wild stuff.
You know what? That was so good for him. You have to remember, Steve didn't have like a big retirement tour.
He did now.
Retirement match. He got taken from wrestling. Like he got robbed. And so I understand why he still had that itch inside of him. And I do too, because I didn't go out the way I wanted to. But at least I had a retirement match.
Yeah.
He didn't have the opportunity. So his retirement match was against Kevin Owens multiple years later. And I'm just happy he got his retirement match. At least now he could say, you know what, I went on the way I wanted to, and I'm happy with that.
For sure. And I'm happy for it. And your Steelers doing great. Happy for you, buddy.
Yeah, they're kicking butt, taking names. Hey, in Pittsburgh, we're always in a good mood when the Steelers are winning.
I know. I've been in Pittsburgh and I've seen the difference. I've seen the difference.
On fire right now.
Hell yeah. Well, man, it was great talking to you, Kurt. I don't know. I don't want to hold you up too long. It was fantastic. Can I just get a picture of the screen? Because nobody will believe me. Truly, yeah. You're the best, man. It was so nice to meet you.
You too, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Have a great day, buddy.
You too. Bye-bye.